Welcome. This is Becoming Blue, where we learn the genius and the why behind students at Brigham Young University. My name is Robbie.
And I'm Rock. And today we have Chelsea Trautman on the podcast. Chelsea is actually a good friend of mine from our entrepreneurship class. And we actually met in the Wilk, right? The library. I think so, the bookstore.
Yeah, that is where we met. We ran into each other right after class, I think, one time.
Really?
Was that what it was? Yeah, you had your longboard with all the cool stickers on it.
Oh, okay. No, I remembered it. I was in the bookstore and then I saw you, but I remembered you from Corbin's class.
Oh, that's
Okay.
right. Yeah, I was chatting with a mission friend. Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Corbin was talking to us about summer sales, and then you raised your hand. They did summer sales, and I think he came and gave you a hug. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, he did.
He's so happy
He's
about
like,
it.
you poor thing.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I went up to her after and introduced myself and thought it was super cool that she does summer sales. Not met a lot of girls who do summer sales, so yeah. But we just brought her on because she's super powerful, running businesses, making a name for herself. So yeah, Chelsea, go ahead, share with us who you are.
Totally. Well, I think there was probably way too much flattery there, Rock. Rock is the coolest. But it's interesting, the name of this podcast, like the genius of BYU students. I would not consider myself a genius in the slightest. But I have really, really loved my time at BYU. I feel like the connections that I've made have been pretty incredible. I'm from a little farm town in Idaho. Our high school is nicknamed Cow Pie High. So there you go as far as my education standards.
You made it to BYU.
And we made it. We made it by the good grace of our God, because that was a miracle. There had to have been some reasons other than my education that I was here, because it was definitely not my grades that got me through. But it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride. I've Corbin's class, entrepreneurship. Started a business during my undergrad. I was rejected from my program at BYU twice. I'm a BYU rejectee. That is what I am. I did not get into the business school, and so.
And actually, hold up one sec.
Yeah.
You said I'm not genius, but actually, that's like what intrigued me about your stories, because you are super genius, and the reason why was because of your powerful story. And I loved how much you just talked about it. You got rejected from your program, right? Like, you did not plan to be in the business program at all, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
What was the program you were going for before?
Experience design and management.
Okay.
Experience design and management. I had applied once, didn't get in, and then I got in a really bad car accident and had to drop my classes, to drop out of work. I was working at the MTC as a teacher at the time. All my students wrote me cute little notes like, "Get better, Sister Trautman."
And how? Because you had just gotten back from your mission. Is that what happened?
I had been home for about a year
Okay.
when this car accident happened. So I had applied once, got in the car accident, applied again, and I was rejected both times. So kind of fun.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that car wreck. I guess Rock was telling me that was kind of a pivotal moment for you. Like, it helped you grow in different ways. Maybe what kind of was the background for that, and how does it maybe kind of led you to where you're at now?
Totally. I would not give up that car accident for anything. I feel like I learned more in that car accident than I probably did during my entire missionary experience. There is an element of being so humbled to the point where you can't do absolutely anything. I remember I had broken up with my boyfriend, and then I bought a car, and then 5 days later I wrecked it. And so now I don't have a boyfriend, and I don't have a car, and I can't do any of the things that I was doing before. I couldn't read. I had to lay in a dark room. I was pretty badly concussed. I was in shock for about 48 hours, and I broke my neck. I broke my spine. My C1 vertebrae is still broken to this day.
Recovering,
actually.
you're going to PT. And stuff
Yes,
like that.
yep. I've done physical therapy for about a year and a half now, and still on the up and up. One of those things that takes a while to recover from, but But when you're in a lot of pain, it really puts into perspective the things that are the most important in life.
Really?
So
When did
very
that
grateful.
happen?
Oh, that was, what is this, 2025? That was November of 2023 that car accident happened. So
Okay. And so, like, what were you planning to do as a career before this experience? And where has that accident led you today?
oh, good question. I was actually going to be an event planner my entire life. I wanted to do experience design because I loved like parties, weddings, that type of thing. I was like, okay, I'm always here for a good time. And so I was like, this is totally what I want to do. And getting in this car accident, I realized how much I valued the ability to learn and education in general. And so that made me kind of pivot to the education space where I decided that I wanted to really invest in helping college professors with their teaching skills and helping students have a really good experience learning. And I believe that some of my management, my business endeavors have stemmed from this love of helping people and meeting them where they're at to a point where they can learn in a way that they understand, that makes sense to them. Because when you're concussed or you have ADHD or your brain doesn't work the same way that other people's brains do, you have to take a different approach and in a really enabling way instead of a way that debilitates people and makes them feel like they can't do what other people can do.
Wow, that is powerful. And I think it's interesting that you're educating the educators,
Mm.
right? I don't think a lot of like when I talk to professors and things like that, it's like, oh, you're a doctorate, and it's like, do I call you doctor? You know, are we on a first name basis? I like you better when you let me call you by your first name. But it's interesting that you get to talk to him on that kind of level. What was kind of your first experience with that? Like, was there a certain professor maybe that bounced back at you and you're like, no, like this isn't your spot to be? Or like, was there maybe a time where it's like, whoa, I love this idea. This is really good. I mean, it seems maybe that was a path because you're still kind of continuing on something like that.
Yeah, Robbie, the great thing about BYU is the people here are very focused on the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I think that this underlying principle of repentance falls into a lot of the things that we do. As I've worked with professors, most of them are very, very eager and anxious to learn. Really incredible. And so I think this is why it's so important to lift the leaders. And as we lift leaders who are professors, who are BYU students, who I feel like we're all grasping for a way to make an impact. And if we can be educated, if we can help each other learn skills, then I think that just moves all of us forward. So these professors honestly have been really, really eager to give back. I remember the first professor that I worked with, super stellar lady in the audiology department. So she is essentially a doctor who helps with what's it called? With being able to hear. It's like the audiology technology. And so she's teaching this classroom full of really, really brilliant students. And there are things that you can see from an outsider's perspective that aren't always super visible when you're right there in the classroom. So she's teaching this class, and there's a couple of TAs that are just kind of sitting in the background and not doing much. And so we were able to like utilize the TAs to come in to help and to help the students to like learn some skills, to use some more examples. But I think it all goes back to like being a team effort. When you can like make a team effort into a common goal, assume the best intent in everyone, and then work towards a common goal. I think that those things are what we need more of at BYU. Is identify the goal and then utilize each other's strengths so that we can get there together.
So powerful. And so I can kind of tell that you have affinity towards this subject of experience design, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of your genius. But after the whole experience, we kind of passed over it. How did that change what you're doing today? Because I mean, from knowing you, like, that's really cool that you love to do that. But I know you have a lot of other passions that you're working on right now. So
You're right. It doesn't stop. There's so much. After this car accident, one of the big things was financially, I had to stop working and I had to drop my classes for school. So trying to work when you have a major concussion, I had 4 minor concussions after my major concussion. And so trying to go to work, I was constantly in a lot of pain. Um, Tried a couple different jobs and it was really hard to go to school and it was really hard to work. And I was like, how in the world am I going to make something of myself as I'm still trying to care for my body and to heal from this experience. And so entrepreneurism gave me an outlet to create my own schedule in a way where I could prioritize first my faith in God, second my body and my health and how I could function in the world, and then third taking care of some of those temporal needs like paying for groceries. And so being able to kind of be on my own timeline was something that was really impactful. The first thing that I did actually after that accident was I started selling starving student cards. And I could do it on my own time. I could do it from my couch. I could do it on Facebook Marketplace in a way that I had some connections with people. I was able to sell these cards and kind of gave me a boost so I didn't have to like clock in and clock out, which was really, really helpful for me at the particular point in life that I was at.
How did that feel to step into that world of entrepreneurism after living a life of not that?
That is, well, let me tell you, I think my father had some opinions about that. He was not very happy. My family very much values stability and is pretty conservative. So it was a blind space, one that I was really excited to explore.
Yeah.
Really, really excited to step into this area. The support system, though, I had to build, and I had none in the start. I feel really blessed now to know lots of other really incredible entrepreneurs, people who have been through similar car accidents and similar experiences. I think so often you think that it's just you that has a story, and everyone has a story. Everyone's got something, and if you're looking in the right places, you find those people. But finding a support system it took some time.
Totally. And I mean, as most fathers probably would, right? I mean, your kid that's in college, like, I don't want to get a job, like that's hard. And it was probably a little unsettling, like to know that your parents maybe weren't super supportive with that decision. And what was that one thing that gave you that oomph to just go into the world of entrepreneurism and kind of step out of that other world that you'd already been living in? You named a few things like groceries, like your religious freedom. But yeah, what was it?
I may give you a basic answer, but I feel like a lot of times they come from this entrepreneurial spirit can come from necessity. Like I'm in a spot where I can't work a 9-to-5 job. I couldn't teach. I was teaching at the MTC at the time. I couldn't teach a class for 3 hours, like 3 hours at a time. I had to split up my work into 40-minute chunks so that I could actually function. So truly, my start felt a little bit out of necessity in all the best ways. I don't think that would have happened if I hadn't been in this car accident and had some of those experiences. So sometimes you're kind of pushed into it, and then you realize the wonderful, fluffy, lovely principles afterwards of like, I'm a go-getter. I want like my own skid, like all these things. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's just kind of where the wind blows you.
Yeah, totally.
I guess what comes to mind for me is like that drive too of necessity too. Do you feel like your mission had a point in helping you get those skills of just even passion or drive even when it was hard?
Absolutely. A missionary experience for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I would say, is one of the most valuable experiences that anyone can have if you invest in it. And I think that that's the same of any experience is what you put in. You can really glean a lot of incredible things. And I did as a missionary. I remember working really hard, and there were a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge that I gained, and I wouldn't give that up for the world. I definitely think that my missionary experience, I gained a lot of skills that served as a catalyst for me to face some really hard trials with a lot of faith in Christ. So I'm really grateful for my experiences there as I'm coming out of there. Feels like forever ago, but good things, yeah.
So powerful. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast with our friend Chelsea Trautman. Let's get back into it.
Awesome. Deep dive.
Deep dive.
Well, I've got a part here. So becoming blue, what it kind of originates from, BYU's motto, enter to learn and go forth to serve. And kind of our thought process is that at this time in between that, we're becoming blue. We're learning the principles of, faithfulness as well as intelligence, and be able to merge those two to be able to build the kingdom of God, right? To help this world and cause true impact, right? You talked about that a little bit earlier, and a lot of people want to do good, but there is oftentimes a right way to do it, right? And Christ is the best exemplar for that as well. So for you, what are some factors that you believe BYU is helping you become blue right now?
BYU is really, really great at merging faith and intellect. And I think so often we heavily, heavily rely on this faith, almost on this blind belief. And we move and we go forward and we serve. But I think that if we understand how people work in the world, if we understand people better, part of this gaining intelligence is picking people's brains and understanding truth. And when we understand those things better, our impact increases. So when we can do less and have a greater impact. And I think my goal is to be able to have a greater impact with the things that I do instead of just trying to do more, to pack more in the schedule.
More effective.
Yes, absolutely.
When you say like picking people's brains, do you mean like being interested in people's geniuses, or like asking what they do, or like when alumni come and visit? What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think understanding what makes people tick, especially BYU students, most people are here with a very, very definitive purpose. They came to BYU with a plan, with a goal, and a lot of those goals and plans have changed. But if you can dig into why people are here and what type of impact they want to have in the world, I think we understand how to best help them get to their goals. And the beautiful thing about BYU is that we all have the same underlying purpose of building the kingdom of God. And so helping other people get to their goals to accomplish their plans really just comes back full circle. And I feel like I've been so blessed and helped to make my mark in the world by going forth to serve afterwards as well.
It's awesome. What are some of the projects that you're working on right now?
Yeah, probably too many. It's a kind of a disease. But the big one right now is I'm selling Christmas trees, which is really, really fun. Trying to add a little bit of light into the world. Bringing Christmas trees door to door. It's a door to door Christmas tree delivery service. And so this is my latest startup. And so we got about a 6-week chaotic season ahead of us. But some really, really cool connections through BYU, through Corbin's class. Right now we're joining with Alive Nativity, the Healer Nativity, to sell most of our inventory. But this really, really incredible experience where there's going to be a live nativity and a cute little Bethlehem market where other startups can go and sell their products, as well as help families have a really Christ-centered experience.
Is that Corbin's Nativity?
This is cool. Corbin's startup, which
That's awesome.
Which is also doing really, really incredible things, which is just like right in line with the mission of Chelsea's Christmas trees that we're going in and spreading a little light in people's lives. So that's the recent project.
Totally. Yeah. So you're doing all these projects at BYU. You've kind of found this niche of entrepreneurism. And I guess it's not a niche, but like you found this passion of yours that you love to sell and you love to create something for yourself and for others. Part post college and after graduating and kind of doing all these little projects, where do you want to be?
Really great questions, you guys. I'm a 24-year-old BYU student right now, and I truly believe we just heard from our newest prophet, President Oaks, and he talked all about the family and having families. And I do have some like pretty distinct career goals. I want to own this startup and I want to teach. And I want to do sales, and there's lots of things that just get me going. But I think that the number one thing that I want to do post my BYU experience, and I think the place that anyone can have the greatest impact is within the four walls of your own home, is in the family and in raising a family. I think that if there's failure there, there is no point in being successful in the rest of your life. So everything that I do is for my future family.
Wow. So powerful. Um, for someone, I mean, in the culture of the Church of Jesus Christ, um, we're grown in families most of the time, and understanding that concept and why it's so powerful and important. And for somebody that was listening and maybe didn't have that understanding growing up of why that's something that's so important to you of after college, how would you explain that to them?
Yeah. Um, the greatest happiness that comes in life is from connecting with people. I came to BYU and I started networking, found some really incredible friends, incredible coworkers, professors, people who are just brilliant, and have met some incredible people. And the people in my life are what make my life worth living. And I think to someone who maybe doesn't quite get this powerful impact of the family is I think that you can, instead of having a broad circle of influence, you can have a tight knit one, and that tight knit one can then empower each other to then go and to have additional connections. But the closer that those tight knit connections are, the more effective we are, the more powerful we feel as human beings. We feel of worth and of value, and it starts with that internal feeling and belief in ourselves to then be able to go and to bless other people. If I don't believe that I have a difference to make in the world, if I don't believe in my own vision, then how am I going to help other people have a vision? How am I going to help them believe in themselves? And a family is the place to create that vision and to support each other in living that dream.
I love that. It seems like maybe your family has had an influence on that. I mean, we talked about your dad maybe being a little like, oh, maybe you shouldn't pursue this. But in my mind, that shows that he cares about you and he wants you to be successful. And at least for me, since I've gotten older, sometimes it's interesting to be like, whoa, sometimes my parents and I don't think the same, or
Mm.
like we're kind of adults, or at least sometimes I think I am. But
Happens fast, Robbie.
it does. I'm 24 as well, so I kind of get that mindset and things like that. But how do you feel like your family has kind of helped influence that? Like, how many siblings do you have? I guess kind of briefly within that as well.
Totally. I have 4 older siblings that are all married, and then a little sister also here at BYU. And they all served missions as well. They all served missions, are doing incredible things. Got a couple seminary teachers. One's working with Focal Point right now. Just really giving back in super, super inspiring ways. And my parents as well have just been stellar examples of prioritizing serving in the church and prioritizing family. And I think that God's plan for individuals looks very, very different. And it's looked very different for me and my siblings and my in-laws and my parents and what that path has entailed. But I don't think that's the point. I think the point is that there are people who care, and they don't go away. And they're kind of like stuck to your foot like gum. Like you just can't get rid of them. And that type of consistency in someone's life has really, really dramatic effects. So whether or not I've wanted my family to influence me, they're my people. They're the people closest to me, and they're who I look to as I try to like learn correct values and apply correct principles to the day-to-day of everyday life. It's almost like there's a commitment, an obligation there that we are helping each other along this covenant path of discipleship. And that's something that you don't see anywhere else in the world is this commitment, this covenant commitment to families. And I think that is the underlying fire to all of these dreams is when you have people that care, when you have people that you love, it makes it makes everything else easier. It makes the hard things seem just like something to laugh at. So,
Well, you're such a powerful representation of that, of someone who has that ability to care, and I can see you have that desire. And thank you for sharing of your experiences of entrepreneurism, through your hard times, and that'll totally translate into your close family for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if you're doing amazing things in the next 10 years. And yeah, thank
Sure
you so
hope
much,
so.
Chelsea.
Absolutely. And
So good to be with you.
I feel like to maybe just wrap up here, something that I learned from Chelsea is kind of the importance of not giving up, right? One of my favorite movies is Meet the Robinsons. And so the motto for that is keep moving forward. And I feel like she's a really good example of that. And so for me, that's always been my favorite movie. That's my favorite motto. And I think considering her experiences, that encourages me to continue on. And that as I'm striving to make a difference in this world as well, that I can never give up, right? As she's been able to demonstrate. Even when times were hard and they were difficult, she was able to readjust and readapt. And that ties in so much with the gospel as well. We're not expected to be perfect while we're down here, but God does ask us to try. And I think Chelsea's been a great influence for me in just this time that we've had together. Rock, what are some things that you feel like you're going to take away from this?
Well, I mean, to go along with what you said, like God doesn't ask us to be perfect, but he asks us to try and become persistently whole. And I love that Chelsea is just so persistent, whatever comes her way. That's so awesome. You're super inspiring, and we're grateful to have you on the podcast today.
Good
Thanks,
to be with
Chelsea.
you guys. Thanks, Robbie. Thanks, Rock.
Yeah.
Thank you.